Okay, so let's get started with our potato experiment. So I'm going to put the potatoes slips, which are right there, into this container here. I've put holes in the bottom so that I can get good drainage. Don't want too much water sitting up in there to rot the potatoes and make sure they grow real well. This winter we've been using our fireplace. We've created a lot of ash, pot ash I guess you could call it. So I decided that I was going to put some in the garden. As a child growing up in Alabama, this is something that my mother would always do when we took the ash out from the wood burning stove in our house. She'd use it for the garden. So I decided to add a bit to my garden to see if it made any difference. Of course, all this stuff is experimentation for me since I don't do a lot of growing, but I decided to at least give it a shot and see if there is any difference in the growing. It's January, early January in Southern California, so I decided to do this to get the garden ready for the coming growing season. And in the meantime, I decided to do another experimentation on growing potatoes. So there are slips that have been growing in the garden because once upon a time, somehow potatoes got into the garden and I thought I got most of them out, but as I'm finding, I didn't. So these slips here, I'm going to actually put in a tub. I'll show you that tub in a minute and see if they actually grow and how well they are growing, because since it is Southern California, we can pretty much grow, at least in this area. I think I'm about a 9 or 10 zone. So we can grow pretty much all year round. So I think I'm going to give it a try and see how things turn out. So stay tuned and I'll get that with you in just a bit. I'm going to see if I can't get it going today since I have a good amount of time today to see if I can get that started. So be back with you in a minute. Okay, so let's get started with our potato experiment. So I'm going to put the potatoes slips, which are right there, into this container here. I've put holes in the bottom so that I can get good drainage. Don't want too much water sitting up in there to rot the potatoes and make sure they grow real well. So I didn't have a whole lot of space to put this because on this side of the house I have space, but I'm getting it ready to be painted and I don't want to put things against the house because I just have to move them. So I'm going to put them right here. There's a little spot for it to go right here. I'll level out the soil underneath so it'll sit flush and it won't be angled this way. So that's what I'll do there. Then I'll get everything put in there. So I'm going to grab a shovel so I can start getting that together. Over here I have my slips and my little fork for moving the soil around, and I have some topsoil here that I have, and hopefully 4 bags is enough. If not, I got a couple more so I can make that work out. So give me a second while I grab the shovel and work that out. So I'm just going to try and level the soil out here just a bit, just so that it's not angling downhill, so that all the water I put in will go down there. Just a little bit more will be good. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little much. and it will go right in between here, my collard green plant, and my lemon verbena tree. So I think that would be pretty good. It's maybe leaning a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. See how things go once we get everything into place. So I'll start out with putting some earth in. I'm doing it this way because I won't have any leftover potatoes once the harvest happens like I had down here, because there was some potatoes over there, but obviously I didn't get them all, so they keep coming up, and I don't want that to happen here. So I just put them in this container, and I've seen it done where when you put them in a container and you're ready to harvest, you basically just have to turn it over so that you can dump them all out, easy peasy. Or so it seemed, or it looked that way. So I'm going to give it a shot. Not quite sure how many I'm going to put in here, because as I said, this is an experiment. So we'll see how that works. I'm going to go ahead and use a fourth bag because I want it to come all the way to the top. And with this earth, you always have to replenish it. As you can see, I have on gloves today. Although I like getting my hands dirty, sometimes I don't. So, this is what we got going here. So now, let's take our little slips, and even though the tops may not still grow, I think the potato will actually go ahead and continue to grow, but I'm going to leave them on just in case. These are some of the slips that I pulled up on the other side, and they have the little tiny potatoes. Now, of course, I don't know what kind of potatoes they are. They may be the little small potatoes, and I guess if there's enough of them, that would be okay too, but we'll see as they grow. I may be putting them too close. I don't know, but as I said before, this is an experiment, so we'll see what we get from them. And I don't know how many I'm putting in, but let's see how much this goes, or how far it goes rather. So once I do this, I'll give it some water, make sure that it has enough, and we'll see how it goes. There's a potato here that's small, but it's by itself. One of the eyes, or some of the eyes, are starting to grow, so we'll see how that works out. I'm not going to put it too far down so that maybe it will grow down into the container a little bit further to give me a bigger yield, I guess, I hope. But as I said, this is an experiment, so we'll just see what happens. And I will probably go inside and grab at least 2 or 3 potatoes that we have inside that we got from the grocery store, at least 3. So we'll see if we can just fill this thing totally up and see how that works out. I've gathered these slips before, but I always say that I'm going to come back out and do it, but a million things happen and I don't get a chance to do it. So this time I'm actually getting it done because I went and bought all this stuff yesterday, and I figure if I don't do it today, I'll be back at work for the remainder of the week. So it probably won't get done because a million other things will come up to prevent me from doing it, as what usually happens. But we got it going today. And if I haven't said so this time, I'm pretty pleased with the way I've been actually keeping the garden. Not a whole lot is growing. We have peppers over here, some longevity spinach, and some mint plants. Of course, this and collards and sage and rosemary over there. So I have been on top of it as far as keeping the weeds and everything away. So that's a good way to start out a new growing season for me anyway, because I've always been a bit lax about that. So this time I'm pretty proud that I've actually at least kept that up, even if I haven't done a lot of things for the winter season. Now, we are in Southern California and we're basically able to grow year round. I've not tried this. I know that it takes so much for them to grow. They say once these actually grow and they die away, you let it sit for a couple weeks and then you harvest. We're gonna give it a shot. I'll be able to judge what my results are when that happens. So we'll just kind of see what's going on, but I'll be back in just a bit with some more potatoes from the house and see how those go. I'll just go ahead and take these things away. So I found a few potatoes inside. This one is a little soft. I'm going to cut it and see exactly how soft it is. And I have these three here. And this one is actually starting to grow out of this eyes. So I'm just going to put these three in for right now. And this one, is starting to rot. So this just may be good for composting. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the composter because I don't want to deal with it just in case it just rots. And of course I left my tool that I should have left here in the first place, but I'll just go in like so, old school way. So I'm just going to drop these in. I'm not going to go too deep with them. I'm just going to drop them in and see what happens. They may be a little close, but we'll deal with that another time. So we'll drop that one in there, and I'll put this one over here in the corner. And this is the one with the eyes on it, so we'll just kind of see how that goes. And hopefully we'll get at least a decent harvest in about 3 or 4 months or something like that from now. So that is going to be it. So I think what I'm going to do also is get my shovel or something and turn all of this ash over into the soil so it'll get a little nutrition. And I'll do that before I actually start to water, because I want to make sure it's soaked in or it's turned over before I start to water. So I think that's going to be it. So we'll be back with you as soon as I finish that. And since I'll be watering, I'm just going to water the whole area, because it will probably be 1 of 2 times that I'll water this week, since I normally don't water that much because I don't have that much growing. But a good soaking of water today will be good for the next couple of days. This is Southern California. It's January and we have not had any rain, and I don't know exactly when our rainy season is coming, so I just have to make sure I stay on top of watering. So that's what we have all over the garden to start working on the soil. So now I've got everything straightened out, mixed into the soil, and I've watered everything thoroughly. including my potato plants, or I should say my experiment potato plants. So that's what they're looking like right now. So I will probably do another video in another month or two to show the progress and see how they're doing, because I'd like to know myself. And of course, again, I hope to keep watering the way I'm supposed to. I've been doing okay as far as the weeding and everything, so that's a good thing. So everything has been mixed in as far as the potash goes. So now everything is watered, everything is looking good, and we're ready to go again, and we'll be ready for the growing season. As I till the soil, especially in my planters, I saw lots and lots of worms. That's a good thing. Now, of course, in this planter here, I'm not going to have any worms like in, for instance, this one, and that one, because all of these planters have no bottoms. And I did that on purpose because I know that as I water, nutrients and everything will come out, plus fertilizer, and it will basically go back into the earth. And I do need to do some mending of my soil here, because I'm not liking the way that things are growing and the taste of things that are growing from this garden. So I need to get on that. And of course, it's been a while since I did any major fertilizing and everything for the whole thing. I need to get mulch to cover everything up so that it can hold the moisture in, because being in Southern California, Los Angeles area, it's not raining a lot. So I need to try and keep as much of this moisture as I can, because it just evaporates because there's no real rain except in the rainy season. And like I said earlier, we are in January and no rain and no signs of rain thus far. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But eventually I would like to get some mulch to cover this thing, cover the whole garden multiple times a year, so that I can start retaining some of that moisture and won't have to rely so much on watering all the time. Although I'll still water, but with the mulch, I can retain a lot of the moisture in the water that I put on the soil. So anyway, that's the video. See ya later.